Hi everyone, welcome back to Grounded Haven Homestead. Today I'm going to be giving you a September tour of our cut flower garden. Even though we are just under a month out from our estimated first frost date, I think this is actually the most colorful our cut flower garden has been all season. A lot of the really colorful flowers are blooming now, like the Zinnias and Snapdragons, and I'm pretty excited to show you around and document all of these pretty flowers before they're gone for the year. As we walk around the garden today, you may notice that there are a bunch of organza bags over some of these blooms, and that's because I am starting to get into the time of seed saving, and I've been putting these bags over any flowers that I want to save seeds for next year. I put these bags on before the flowers actually open up so that they can open up inside the bag and the bees won't get to them and cross-pollinate any varieties. For example, I have a lot of zinnias in this area and I want to keep specific varieties and I don't want them to blend into a hybrid. So you can see here I have just the buds in the bags before they open. I'm going to start with the row on the right today, and here we have a bunch of colorful zinnias that have just opened up in the last month. This was one of our later successions in the year, so they are nice and fresh now. Most of these are just from mixes that have a bunch of different bright colors, and it's nice to have a really colorful, fun mix of zinnias right up in the front of the garden. I really like this bright orange one because it reminds me of the color of Cheetos. The next area is probably my favorite one right now. We have a bunch of different snapdragons that are looking so nice right now. These plants have been in the ground since early spring, and if you've seen some of our flower garden tours from earlier in the year, you'll know that we struggled with these weird beetles that were all over the snapdragons all throughout the year, and now they are finally gone and the snapdragons are doing amazing, blooming really beautifully. They're really enjoying the cooler weather that we've been having, and I'm really happy that we finally are getting a good show out of them because they really struggled for most of this year. One of my favorite snapdragon varieties has got to be this Madame Butterfly Bronze. It is a double bloom, so you can see that they look extra fluffy. I really love the color. It's pink but has a little bit of a darker undertone that makes it look really complex. I think I'm going to have to try growing some different color varieties of this series next year. I know that they have white ones, they have bronze with white, there's even like a darker red and a rose pink one. This is the only double snapdragon variety we have, but I still really love all of the other ones. We have just a whole mix of colors. We have some beautiful fresh white ones that go perfect in any bouquet or arrangement. All of these plants have really nice, strong, and long stems too, which is really great. We also have some more delicate pastel color ones. I really like this apricot one and these light yellow ones as well. After our snapdragon section, we have another little area with some more colorful zinnias. These are from the Benary's Giant mix. We've got another one of those Cheeto colored ones, and along with these colorful ones, we also have a couple from the Queen Lime series. This one is a Queen Lime Orange. Next we have a section of Thai basil. This is one of my favorite herbs, both in the flower garden and just in our normal vegetable garden. It has done so well in this area this year. It is full of beautiful purple blooms, and anytime I walk by this area, it also smells amazing. Next we have our Dahlia area, which has just exploded in the last month, and we've seen some really good growth on these. Some of the plants have gotten so tall. All of these dahlias were started from seed from a mix that we got from Floret Flower, and I've been really impressed with the variety of different kinds of dahlias we've been able to grow from this Floret mix. I grew mixes from a couple different companies this year, and a lot of them look very similar, but these ones are very unique. I've seen a whole mix of different shapes and colors. We have these really beautiful white ones where when they first open up, they look almost like a ball type dahlia. We have these beautiful fiery red ones with rounded petals and a couple of layers, and then there are a lot that are more of like a single layer anemone style dahlia, and I think they are so pretty. They're really cute and dainty and different from the types of dahlias you would usually buy as tubers, because those are usually much larger dahlias, I feel. There's this really neat looking one that has very sparse outer petals and a big fluffy center, and then there's this one that has such a beautiful lavender-like color. I'm going to try and save seeds from some of these dahlias, both as pure seeds before the blooms open up and also after they've been pollinated. Since dahlia seeds don't necessarily grow true to the parent plant, it'll just be an interesting experiment, and it's fun to see what you'll come up with by doing your own small scale type of breeding. At the end of this row, we have our big area of yarrow, and I've actually started cutting back a lot of the spent stems because I noticed that there's some new growth coming up at the base of the plants. I'm not sure if this is coming from the mother plants and they're just putting out new foliage, or maybe they've just reseeded themselves everywhere and these are new plants, but either way, I just wanted to give them a little bit of space, so I've cut off those top stems. We have an empty area where I sowed some seed, and some of those are starting to come up. Here is a Honeywort seedling. And last year these overwintered pretty well for us in our zone 7, so I'm hoping that it does well again this winter. We've got another section of yarrow where you can see that new growth coming up, and then on the other side of the bed I've taken out all of our sunflowers because those were all done for the season, and in their place I've sown some poppies. Those haven't come up yet, but you can see this area where we transplanted some new flowers about a month ago and they're doing really well. We have this hyssop, and then we also have straw flowers, which have gotten really bushy. I actually realized after I planted these that these are actually supposed to be hardy to zone 8 and we're in zone 7, so we're gonna hope that they do okay and make it. Then we have some foxgloves, which haven't shown as much growth, but they're still alive at least. And then we have our area of cosmos. I've recently cut back a lot of these plants and taken some of them out because they have just gotten so tall that they all fell over, even with the little bit of flower netting that I have. And I'm pretty sad to see them go because I did really enjoy them this year, but I left a few of the shorter plants in, and maybe after cutting them back they'll push out a few last blooms before our frost. We've got some more colorful zinnias. These are older than the other ones that I showed you before, so they're not looking quite as good. And then we have an area of lemon basil. This lemon basil is pretty short, definitely not as tall as the Thai basil, but there are definitely a bunch of blooms on there, and this one also smells really good. A funny little thing is that in our pathway we actually have this perfect little line of volunteer Thai basil that has already reseeded itself. Should be pretty interesting next year because I'm sure we're going to have a ton of volunteer plants. The next section is our straw flowers, and some of them have gotten so tall, and I've also started covering some of these blooms to save these seeds. I am picking out the specific colors that I really liked this year and want to make sure that I can get again next year. I really love the red blooms and the dark red ones, but to be honest, I have enjoyed every single straw flower that I've grown this year. Another flower that we've enjoyed so much this year is Gomphrena. We have just a red variety, and next year we definitely have to add more colors. This one has performed so well for us. It's so easy to grow and has put on so many blooms. I used a lot of these red ones in a dried flower wreath that I did a month ago, and I used a lot of Gomphrena for that because we have so much, and it has already just completely recovered and filled in so many new blooms. And I think this would be a really fun flower to include in a landscape as well. We've got another small section of snapdragons, and in some areas we have put in a pea and oat cover crop, and that is coming up really nicely. All of our Dara has gone to seed, so you can see the seed head here. There are a ton of seeds on there. I've already collected some, and the rest I am just hoping that it reseeds itself so that I don't have to do the work and it'll just grow by itself next year. We also have our frosted explosion grass, which has gone to seed. I am positive that we are going to have 1 million volunteers of this next year. And then another little cover crop area that is doing really well as a living mulch. Last but not least, we have more zinnias. It's only fitting that we end with zinnias since we started with them in this video. These are the Queen Lime Red zinnias, and they have been going strong for a long time. And that brings us to the end of this flower garden tour. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you again in the next video.